Why? You're tearing me apart, Lisa. God. Listen. If you couldn't tell by the title of this video, I want to talk to you guys about Secret of Mana. I love Secret of Mana, and it is easily one of the best RPGs from that Super Nintendo era. It's a great story. It's great music. I think the music probably is the thing people are going to remember the most. The combat was really a lot of fun. It was couch co-op with your friends. If you had another controller, your friend could join in. Different types of weapons, different character upgrades. Just an amazing game. And I was fortunate enough to get an SNES Classic, so I've replayed it since recently, and it still holds up. It's still really a lot of fun. When they announced that they were going to be remaking, they being Squaresoft, or Square Enix, announced that they were going to be, see, that shows my age. When they showed that they were going to be remastering the game, I was like, good. It deserves it. You know, we had the Crash Bandicoot remaster come out, and they really took time to make the game pretty. There's rumor that Spyro's coming out, and I'm sure it's going to do well. And then my beloved, my favorite game of all time, Shadow of the Colossus remake. Incredible, incredible remastering. The people who took time to make that game really cared and really knew what a task they had before them. So why Square Enix dialed in this one, I don't know, but this remake sucks. They showed some gameplay maybe 6 months ago, and it's the same crap that I bitched about when Destiny was coming out, when Peter Dinklage was the voice for the Ghost, and his lines just sounded so phony and so unauthentic. The lines in this game, the whole voiceover, everything's fully voiced over, sounds really bad. And it's like, I don't know if the actors didn't speak English natively and they didn't understand or don't understand English inflection, or if they were just told to read a script, kind of like Resident Evil, and they just basically read a script 50 different ways without any context. And then the game designers, who in Resident Evil case were Japanese, just picked the lines that they thought sounded the best based on inflection, but didn't really understand. That's how you get these quirky lines. So Resident Evil had Barry saying, "Hey, Jill, master of lockpicking, here's a lockpick for you." The master of lockpicking? Like, it was bizarre. And yet here we are, Secret of Mana, where they're like, "Hey, look, it's a sword. You should pick it up." Okay, cool, ha. And it's like, wait, you took the gravity of the situation, which, granted, normally would just have been text that you would have been reading on the screen. You took that gravity and you turned it into a cringe fest. And you turned it into something where, like, it's laughable and it's, like, uncomfortable. And it's not a good uncomfortable. And it's not even being like a satire or a parody. It just sucks. I don't understand it. It wasn't done well in terms of voiceover. It's definitely not done well in terms of the story. Story, thankfully, they couldn't have messed up. In terms of the music, there are some classic themes from Secret of Mana. Probably the most commonly heard instrumental in the thick of it. It's the music you hear almost exclusively when you're running around fighting animals out in the open. They remastered it, and somehow they managed to change the tone from this smooth, you know, like, I don't want to say electronic music, but, you know, Super Nintendo had a really good sound chip. They took that really mellow background music and they overinflated it with other instruments, and it really changes the tone and the feeling of the song, and it just comes off blaringly loud, and it's obnoxious, and it's not something that you could just lose yourself in like a gentle melody, but it's almost like Back to the Future at the end of Johnny Be Good when all of a sudden he goes into like a 5-minute guitar solo after everybody they stop dancing. They're like, what is going on? It's very similar to that, where it's like you expected it to be something and then they redesigned it in a different way. Yes, it is still the same music. I don't know all the terms of like tone and pitch and treble and all that crap. It is the same song, but it's done with different instruments and it's done in a different arrangement that just ruins it. And that's just like, I don't understand that, because any Secret of Mana fan will tell you the music is really what the game was about. And in a lot of people's opinion, you know, music really brought that game together. It had a very rich soundtrack for a Super Nintendo game. So you have bad voice acting, you have bad music. What else could you have? Oh, I know. They did nothing with the bad AI, which was acceptable back when Secret of Mana came out in the 90s, but they didn't take any time or care or consideration to kind of modernize that AI, to make your AI-controlled players or the enemies any smarter. So you're constantly getting stuck because your AI character is like getting wrapped around things. So say like there's a chasm and there's a bridge that you got to cross, and 2 of your characters run across. The third gets stuck and they're just running, like trying to run down over the chasm. They can't. So you have to run back up. They snap to you. Then you all cross the bridge together because all the characters have to be on the screen at the same time. Like, how could we have not fixed this? My point in this long, rambling video, I looked over at the time, it's not as long as I had thought, is this. If any game studio wants to remake a game, that's fine. There are a slew of games to my right that I am looking at right now. All the Mario games, the Zelda games, Duck Hunt, Super Mario, Secret of Mana, which I want to show you right there. Do you see that? Hold on, I'm going to point. Hold on. Look at this. You see this? That's the Mana Beast from Secret of Mana, okay? That's the Mana Beast. Now, that is how much I love that game. I love the game so much that I have a picture of a game of the final boss on my wall, okay? So, I get to be an expert in this, and I get to be upset, okay? If you're going to take a game that's beloved, and you're going to remaster it, you have to do it with compassion. You have to care. You have to take the project and understand that for a lot of us, this is our childhood. This is something that we remember playing with our friends. I remember playing Secret of Mana with my friends at my sleepover parties, and I remember getting a second controller so my buddy Jason could come over and we could play together, and we had a great time doing it. However, if you're going to take a remake and you're going to half-ass it and you're not going to put time into voice acting and the music and the staples of the game, then don't do it. Just leave it alone. The emulated version on the Super Nintendo Mini, or if you just want to go get an emulator, or if you want to go buy the original Super Nintendo at one of those retro game stores and pick up the original Super Nintendo cartridge, was a fine game. If you want to modernize it, make it digital, have local co-op where you could play, you know, DualShock 4, all that great stuff. You want to make it 1080p, 4K, whatever. I don't care. Fine. But put thought into it. Make it important. Make it a fan project. And they didn't. And it's so disheartening that a lot of people will only know Secret of Mana for the crap that they produced and not the game that so many of us remember so fondly from our youth. And I think, isn't that kind of what a remake is supposed to be? Isn't it supposed to pay tribute to those old, you know, the things of yesteryear? Like those cover bands that like, hey, we love this music so much. We want to preserve it. We want to replay it for you. We want to take the original artist's intention and we want to recreate it the best we can for you guys. That's what a remake is supposed to be. Not this crap. I highly recommend you do not buy this game. Do not show your support for this kind of remake. Let game companies know they cannot take our beloved games like Secret of Mana and ruin them. And instead, let's praise games like the remake of Crash Bandicoot and the best game of all time, Shadow of the Colossus, because those remasters actually are good, and those remasters are actually done by people who clearly care about the quality of their work. I have ranted enough. I've said what I need to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there and do not play the remake of Secret of Mana. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.